Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about pens. I'm going to talk about my favorite pens, the pens and other writing utensils I use on a regular basis, and also talk about the fountain pens that I'm currently using and have currently inked. So if that sounds good, let's jump right in. So the pen case that I use on a daily basis, and this pen case goes with me whenever I leave the house, I'm going to work or going to a coffee shop to do some work or journaling or planning. I always have this pen case with me. And this pen case is the Yuruliku flat tool case in the color brown, which I picked up from the online shop Journal Station. And I'll be sure to link all of the shops that I mention in this video down in the description box, and I'll also write everything that I mention here down below too. So this is the Yuruliku flat tool pen case in the color brown from Journal Station, as I mentioned. I believe you can pick it up from a few other online shops. I think they might be sold out on Journal Station, but I really love this pen case. I love it because it feels very portable and slim. It almost feels like another notebook, like Hobonichi Weeks size book in my bag. And I also love it because it's long enough to fit Tombow dual brush pens. And I have a bunch of Tombows. I love using Tombows on a daily basis. And I am always on the hunt for pen cases that are long enough to accommodate Tombows. So I have a pin on, or yeah, pin, I think. I know why my brain is blinking right now. This I picked up from the planner spot, and it says jamming on my planner, which is is a reference to Parks and Rec, a quote from Leslie Knope, and I am a big Parks and Rec fan, so I had to pick that up. And then the pen case has just one sort of pocket for pens here, and then this slip pocket where I think you could actually fit a Hobonichi Weeks. I've seen people do that on YouTube. But I use a slip pocket to hold other stationery stuff that I like to keep with me on the go. So I'm not going to start here just yet. I want to start with the pens that I use as my daily writers. These are the pens that I'm using the most frequently to write in my planners and notebooks, and these are fountain pens. I should add a disclaimer here before I get started that I'm very much a fountain pen newbie. I have been using fountain pens for about maybe 2 years now, but I have a very small collection, and most of the pens that I have I use on a regular basis. Fountain pens definitely seems like I've been getting more into fountain pens, and it definitely seems like a hobby that can quickly spiral out of control because there are so many beautiful pens out there and ways to customize fountain pens. And then, there's this whole world of fountain pen inks, which is a lot of fun. But I've been really enjoying my fountain pens lately. But this is all to say, just to circle back to my original point, I'm a fountain pen newbie. I'll talk about the pens that I have and what they're currently inked with, but just a disclaimer there that it feels like useful to mention at the beginning of talking about the fountain pens I have. So the pens that I use the most are these two. This is the Pilot Vanishing Point in the matte black, which is, I think, a very popular pen in the planner and stationery community. And then I also have the Platinum Curidas. They're both retractable pens or capless pens, and I love them for that reason. They feel super functional on the go. You don't have a cap to mess around with or potentially lose. I use both of these on a very regular basis. Both of these are in a fine nib, so this is the Pilot VP is in a fine, and then the Platinum Curidas is in a fine, and I have them both inked with the Diatramentis Document Ink Black. I know that there's also the Diatramentis Archive Ink Black, and I am not at all sure about what the difference is between the document ink and the archive ink. So if you know, I would be super curious what the difference is. So if you happen to be a fountain pen aficionado and know the answer to that, I would love to know what the difference is. But I use this ink because it is very fast drying on the Tomoe River paper. And the planers I use on a regular basis are the Hobonichi Cousin, sometimes the Hobonichi Weeks, and a Tomoe River paper insert in a standard traveler's notebook. And so I definitely need a fast drying ink for my daily writer. So do a quick swatch. Before I swatch, I'll just say that this is a Rhodia notebook. So it's a creamy dot grid color paper. I picked a few of these up from Jet Pens a couple months ago, and they've been a fun notebook to use for random miscellaneous notes. So here, got the Pilot Vanishing Point. And the fine. This is the Diatramentis. Document ink. I have gone back and forth a lot about using the Pilot Vanishing Point in the extra fine or fine. My husband bought this for me, like I mentioned, for my birthday, not this past birthday, but in 2021. And you can see when he bought it for me, he got me the fine. And when I originally tried it, it felt too thick of a line for me. And so I exchanged it and got the extra fine. And the extra fine always felt a little too extra fine to me. It felt too thin and scratchy, but I kept it for a long time. And then maybe 6 months ago, I dropped my Pilot Vanishing Point with the nib out, and the nib just kind of bent in this way that like it was, I couldn't fix it. So I bought a new nib unit and decided to try the fine again. And ever since picking up the fine nib unit, I've been loving the fine again. I find it just a way more like enjoyable writing experience relative to the extra fine. Although sometimes it does feel like just a touch too thick sometimes. So that's where the Platinum Curidas comes in. I picked this pen up from Yoseka Stationery store back in September. I was in New York visiting family, and I couldn't help but stop at Yoseka, and I tested out this pen there for the first time, and I loved it, and I picked it up, and I picked this up in the fine. And I think you can see here, like, the Platinum Curidas fine is finer than the Pilot Vanishing Point fine. And so I love it for that reason. It feels very much like in between the extra fine and fine in the Pilot Vanishing Point. And it's such a nice writing experience. I love the nib on this. My only problem with the Platinum Curidas is I don't find it as comfortable to hold and write with for long writing sessions. And that's primarily because of this piece, like this thing right here. I don't know what it is, or like maybe I could have it shaved off in some way. Like, I don't know what to do with this, but it just annoys me, and it's not as comfortable to write with. But I find the nib, I just love I love writing with this pen. I love how the nib feels writing with this pen. And I find like holding this pen more comfortable, even though sometimes I feel like the fine is a little bit thicker than what I want. But these are the pens that I use on a daily basis. I keep them both inked with this black ink that dries really fast on the Tomoe River paper. And they're great writing utensils. I love them both so much. I've been using them both nonstop for this one for more than a year and a half, and this pen for at least the last 6 months. So highly recommend both of them if you're getting fountain pen curious. And then the other pens I have currently inked, fountain pens I have currently inked. Whoops, realized the sound on my laptop was on. The other fountain pens I have currently inked are all TWSBIs. So I think TWSBIs are a really great starter pen. They write really smooth, kind of wet. They hold a ton of ink, so you don't have to ink them up all that much. And all around, like I love my TWSBIs. This TWSBI Eco was one of the first fountain pens I ever bought. And I have been using it consistently since then. Like, I love the way it writes. It's super comfortable in the hand. And again, it holds a ton of ink. So this TWSBI Eco I have in the extra fine, I believe. Yeah. And I have this inked with the Sailor Blue Black. I am someone who doesn't love writing with blue ink, but I love a good blue black ink. And this, I think, is one of my favorites. It is such a comfortable writing experience with this pen, and it is such a pretty color. So let me pull this up so you all can see. That's the TWSBI and the Sailor Blue Black. Definitely, like, if you're somebody who loves a good blue black ink, I would recommend picking up a sample because I really love the tone of this color. And then the second TWSBI I picked up, I didn't pick up, this was gifted to me. My mother bought this for me also for my birthday in 2021. Now I'm trying to remember how old I am. My 34th birthday. My 34th birthday, my mother bought this for me and my husband bought this pen for me. And it was a very good stationary birthday. I had a lot of fun playing with these pens when I first got them. They were very much like the first two nicer kind of pens I got, or more expensive fountain pens. The only fountain pen I had prior to these two was the TWSBI Eco. So this is the TWSBI Mini in the RoseGold, and it is much smaller, as you can see, relative to like the TWSBI Eco, and then this is the TWSBI Diamond 580. And what I love about the Mini is that when it just feels much more comfortable in the hand if I like if I keep the pen cap posted. So I have this inked with one of my favorite purple inks. And I should say this is the TWSBI Mini with an extra fine nib. And in here I have the Diatramentis Aubergine ink. It's a really deep purple. I think it's just so pretty. And again, like I love more muted colors. And I love this ink. This is, yeah, the Aubergine Diatramentis. They sell it under both, like you can buy the Aubergine or this line that's named for different, I don't know actually what the line is, like the theme of the line, but this is the Alexander Hamilton, which I just thought was sort of funny and a little random. But I love the color of this ink. It is so pretty. It is such a like pretty deep purple. I'm not sure if it's catching well in the light, but again, if you're somebody who loves purples, I would recommend picking up a sample. And then the last TWSBI I have inked is this TWSBI Diamond 580. This is the most recent fountain pen I've picked up, and this is the Smoke Rose Gold. It's really pretty, and I love TWSBIs, and so I was wanting to pick up either another TWSBI Mini or the TWSBI Diamond, and I'm really happy I picked this one up. And I have This pen, this is a fine nib, and I just recently got this within the last week. And something I found surprising is that I don't really feel much of a difference between the extra fine and fine. I wanted a thicker line and I didn't really get it. So I've been thinking about either selling this or like eventually buying another TWSBI. I wanted a thicker line with a TWSBI. And maybe what I should do is pick up a medium. You can see here, like, this is not at all that much thicker than these extra fine, which I was surprised by. And this pen I have inked with this really pretty sailor ink I picked up in the same order I bought this, all from Goulet Pens, who I love. And now that I live in Virginia, it like basically ships overnight for free because they are also located in Virginia. So I feel very lucky. So this is the Sailor Shikiori in the Hara Hara color, which they refer to as Autumn Drizzle. It's this really pretty like mauve, purple, pinkish color that I really love. And if you can't tell, purple is my favorite color. I love muted colors, and so I've been picking up a lot of ink samples in different shades of purple, trying to figure out like which ones I wanted to buy and what would which inks I wanted to keep in my collection. But I'm really love this ink and I'm excited to use it in different pens. Let me see if I can sort of capture how pretty this ink is. So these are the fountain pens I have currently inked. I'm trying to figure out like how many fountain pens I can have inked at once and use them like on a regular rotation. I have two other pens that are not pictured here, fountain pens that are not pictured here. The Pilot Metropolitan, which I also think is another great starter pen. And then I also have a Kaweco Sport, which I also really enjoy. I just need to ink both of those up. So those are the fountain pens that I'm using on a regular basis that I love. Now moving on to the other pens that I'm using on a regular basis and that I keep with me in my pen case. So let's start with the other like pens I'm using. So I keep 3 black pens, and these are my favorite 3 black gel pens that I use in different notebooks or for different purposes. I love all of these, and sometimes I like show preference for one, like I'm reaching for one over the other, but I like to keep all 3 with me. The first one that I have is the Uni-ball Signo in the 0.38. This is like my OG favorite pen. I have loved this pen for years and years and years. I just love the way it writes. It is so smooth and is the perfect, like, I don't like writing with much thicker sort of like pen lines than this. And the 0.38 is honestly my favorite. I've tried the 0.5 and I just always find them like way too thick and inky. So there's the Uni-ball Signo. This is the Sarasa Grand, the Zebra Sarasa Grand in the gold. And I have this, the refill in here is the Zebra Sarasa Dry. I believe that's what it's called, but I will double check. Now my brain is, I believe it's the Sarasa Dry in the 0.4. Now, if you know this pen, you know that it is way thicker than a typical 0.4, but I've just kind of gotten used to it and now I really like it. And this pen is great because this is one of the gel pens that dries really fast. And so you can use it on the go in a planner Like I'm using Hobonichi planners, and this is a great on-the-go pen for Hobonichi planners because it dries almost instantly, doesn't smudge, you don't have to worry about blotting it. You can write really quickly, and it's an all-around great pen. If not a little thick, but I've gotten over that over the years, and I've used this a ton. And then the last pen that I use on a regular basis, or gel pen, and I'm very much a gel pen person, I should say. I hate ballpoint pens. I don't know what it is. I know people love certain ballpoint pens, but me and them, like we don't jive for whatever reason. I'm very much a gel pen person. So actually here, I'll keep that here. This is the Uni-ball one. This pen, I don't know if this is a new pen or new to me, but I picked this up last year and it has quickly become one of my favorites. It's a 0.7, but I find it writes doesn't write that thick, and it also dries relatively fast. So it's another great pen option for Hobonichi planners or other planners that use Tomoe River paper. All of these dry really quickly, except this one doesn't dry that fast, but I don't find that it takes too long to dry, and I also use this in my Hobonichi planners. So these are my 3 gel pens I use on a regular basis. And then I also I keep this pencil in my pen case that I use on a daily basis. This pencil is, this is the Kuru Toga 0.5 pencil. I picked this up from Jet Pens probably 2 or 3 years ago. And what's special about this pencil, if you know this pencil, is that it is automatically rotating the lead. So that way you're not getting this sort of like uneven, I don't know what you would call it, like the tip doesn't become uneven in a way that makes your writing uneven. And I love it. Like, it is the nicest mechanical pencil experience that I've ever had. And I use this pencil all the time when I am writing in things. Sometimes I like to write in pencil in my planners if something is tentative, or if I'm trying to brainstorm a layout for a collection or a page or a journaling or memory keeping spread. I love using pencil for that reason, and this pencil is just fantastic. So highly recommend if you're on the market for a new pencil. And then I also use on a daily basis these 2 brush pens. These are the Tombow Fudenosuke. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've heard so many people pronounce it and still struggle. Brush pens in the hard and soft tip. I love both of these for writing things like writing headers, or if I want to write something in a more sort of bold font to call my attention to it, I'll write in these. These are really great brush pens. And the hard tip especially, I think, is great for people who are new to brush pens. I have been brush lettering for a while now, and I really enjoy both of these depending on like my needs. Let's see if I can remember how to spell Fudenosuke. This one, I think it might be drying out. I use them so frequently that I go through them like relatively fast. And the soft tip. And then this is, actually that's the hard tip. Whoops. This is the soft tip, which is much, you can see. It's not as easy to control, but you can get a much thicker. You can get a much thicker stroke. This is gonna bug me now that I'm doing this like pen test on this page. Okay, so yeah, love these brush pens, use them all the time. I really enjoy using them and would recommend them for anybody curious about checking out brush pens. And then the other couple of things I always keep on me, a couple are highlighters, so a couple mild liners. I have 2 of the Zig Clean Dot markers. I have a bunch of these, but I only keep 2 in my pen case. And the same goes with the mild liners and the Tombows. I've been trying to like carry around a more manageable set of pens. I feel like for a long time I would just carry around a pen case that had like 50 pens in it and always be like digging around trying to figure out what I want to use. And over the years I've realized that I enjoy carrying around a smaller pen case and trying to like pick and choose what I keep in here, and then I just switch them out over time. So I don't always keep these exact 2 Tombows in here or these exact 2 clean dot markers, clean Zig dot markers, but I always have 2 dot markers, if that makes sense. And I usually have 2 Tombows and 2 mild liners. So the Tombows that I keep on me, I'm keeping on me right now this is the 992. It's a really pretty beige. I honestly keep this on me most of the time. I really only switch out the colored one I keep because this is like a really great neutral that I use constantly. Yeah, the Tombow 992. And then this is a new Tombow I recently picked up. This is the 952, and it's a very pretty like bluish, blue-grayish, like a very muted blue. And again, I love muted colors, so I really have been enjoying this Tombow. And then the 2 mild liners that I have been keeping on me are the yellow. I end up keeping the yellow on me pretty consistently because if I'm writing something, if I'm writing a to-do list, for example, and I really want to make sure something like to call my attention to something, I will highlight it in yellow. And then I have this olive green, which is from the recent set of colors that mild liner released, I think last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. This is the olive green, which is this really pretty muted green. And then I have, I'm not sure what the name of these colors are. Oh, Oatmeal and Wisteria. Look at that. This is the Oatmeal. Again, a brown, beigeish color. And then this is a muted purple. So these are the markers I keep with me on a regular basis, rotating some of these colors out. And then the last few things I have in my pen case, I have one more pen. I have the Uni-ball Signo. This is the white gel pen. And I keep this on me because I use this to white out my writing sometimes, or to like clean things up around the edges on when I'm like hand lettering stuff or writing things in like a more brush lettering, calligraphy style. But I really like this, both for like when I'm doing memory keeping spreads, like adding some sort of like some flair to stuff like with the white gel, or for cleaning stuff up, essentially like a correction pen. I use this a lot. And then I have in here a ruler. This is a 6-inch Midori ruler, and the reason I love this ruler is then you can extend it and you get a 12-inch ruler. So love this. This has been a great collection or a great addition to my stationery collection, and I love keeping this with me on the go. And then I have just an eraser from Staedtler and some correction tape from Tombow. And that is all I keep with me on a regular basis. So that is those are my favorite pens, what's in my pen case. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you all have a good rest of your day. Bye now.